to be dark and ominous. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea, episode 174, on a nice Saturday night here in New York, live from New York. It's Saturday night.
It's Saturday night.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us as always. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, or wherever you found your audio-only podcast, we always appreciate the support. I am Ed, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, what's up, dude? What's going on?
Not much, man. Just here on a Saturday, chilling out, relaxing. A day of family fun today. Enjoying this nice weather while it's still here. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. I got no bit tonight. I usually have a bit. I got no bit tonight. It's Saturday.
Are you? It's true. It is a little weird. We don't really do a lot of Saturday shows, but
we don't.
No, we don't. And I don't. Are you more of a fall New York guy, or what's your favorite season and stuff like that? Like, what is it? I'm a summer guy, but I do enjoy the fall also.
Well, I'm a summer guy because I get off summers, but that's really the only reason I'm a summer guy. I literally, if you gave me off in the dead of winter for 2 months, I'd be a winter guy. But like if we're talking about like favorite seasons, it's spring, fall.
Yeah.
Like I love the cooler seasons. Like I'm actually disappointed. This fall in New York has been kind of hot.
Yeah, like I had our tournament earlier today, a summer our playoff tournament for softball, and I was playing in shorts and a t-shirt. Like all of us were just out there, and it was just like 75 degrees, and I got a little color here again and stuff like that, but it'll tan out in like a day or two. I'm not worried, but it seems to it just seems to be the way, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, it's unseasonable. But then I think like the next day or two, it's supposed to drop down to like highs of 60. So it's going to be like hoodie weather, like almost instantly.
Absolutely. And as someone who has to leave his house very early to get to work, this is the worst type of season to do that, because you get up, it's 60, it's cold, and then you get to where you're going, then it gets in the afternoon, it's hot, and then it gets cold again at night. This is how people get sick.
Yeah, it's just almost like, I don't know. It's tough. I've been trying to like bring like a light jacket or something with me or something like that, and then pack it away and be back in a t-shirt by like midday or something like that. I don't know. Like that's I think that's the best way to go about it. But
I want to point out, by the way, that we've done Sunday shows and it's like dance party. We're doing a Saturday show and we're like two old men talking about the weather. Like, hey, it's so hot out there, don't you think?
Yeah, it is a bit odd. I mean, I would love to know how many Saturday shows we've actually done, like throughout time. I got to imagine it's less than 5.
Not many. I agree. Less. I can't think of one offhand at all.
No, I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Well, it's also because we kind of like we usually go around our TV shows, right? When we have shows on and stuff, we kind of got to like maneuver our schedules around that stuff. And right now we have a Sunday night show with the Penguin. We got a Monday night show with Superman and Lois. Now we got a fucking Wednesday night show with Agatha. So it kind of like puts us in a corner where it's just almost like
it does.
I guess we got Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. That's really it. Like other stuff. Wednesday really maybe
we can do.
Yeah, Wednesday's another one maybe, but we got to like get that Agatha one knocked out first. So
right. It's weird. It's weird. I was thinking the same thing. It's because usually we're Tuesday guys or Monday guys or early week guys.
Now it's random Saturday. I don't know. It's weird, but all right.
Strange.
Enough about that. But you're right though. We are two like older guys, two mid-40s guys. Like, let's talk about some comic book stuff on a Saturday.
Right. On a Saturday night, let's talk about the weather in New York, and then we'll talk about a little comic book stuff, and then maybe I'll talk about my colonoscopy that I just got. This is old men talk on Saturday nights.
By the way, quick thing here. I did want to mention this, though, actually, because we keep bringing it up, and it seems like, and I guess it was stuck in my head. You're an SNL guy, right? Yeah, like historically an SNL guy. I know. over
I
time,
don't
people come
really
and
watch.
go.
Yeah, but you know this, Grogan worked for the prop house that
Yeah.
supplied SNL, right? I
Mhm.
worked there briefly. I furniture. I touched the same bar that Chris Walken touched. We're one.
Awesome. You are one. 6 degrees
Yes,
of Christopher
we are.
Walken, Jason.
6 degrees, Christopher Walken. No, but yes, I do like it on and off.
Quick recommendation. Yesterday afternoon, I caught in a matinee the new film Saturday Night, which is directed by Jason Reitman. Um, it's a limited release movie. And I know Tim is watching it now as we're on, as I saw him do his check-in on Facebook. Dude, I don't know if you even have seen a trailer for it or not, or have any idea what
I
the
don't
hell
even
it's
know what
about.
this is.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to recommend it to you. It's about the 90 minutes leading up to the premiere of SNL in 1975.
Like the very first, not ready for primetime players?
Yes, it's about the first
I'm very
episode,
interested
and
in that.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty cool movie.
Right.
It's a limited release movie, so that's why it doesn't got big budgeting and stuff like that. But the movie looks great. It's shot like a 1970s film, and the casting that they did for that movie was fucking
Who plays
immaculate.
Murray?
So there is no Bill Murray because he was not on the first episode.
Oh, you're right. He wasn't. Shit.
Yeah. The dude
That's
who
right.
plays,
I always just lump him in there.
and now I'm going to make this connection here. The dude who plays Chevy Chase played Riddler on Gotham. Our beloved Gotham.
Oh, I actually like that guy.
He's a good actor.
Sucked, but I thought that actor was good. Yeah.
Agreed. I think the dude who played Penguin and played Riddler were really good. He plays Chevy Chase, and I have a feeling you would really enjoy this movie. And he is fucking awesome. And Dylan O'Brien plays Dan Aykroyd, and he is spot on too.
I want to see this. I need to know it. I'm going to see it either way, but I might not get to the theater, but I will see it once it streams. But does it paint Chevy Chase in a bad light?
I think it's accurate to what we know of Chevy Chase now. Like Chevy Chase is Chevy Chase is Chevy Chase is funny, and not in everything, because we talked about Fletch on here actually like a while ago, right? But
we do, and I think I've said I hate Chevy Chase for the most part.
Yes, now I will admit though,
made that declaration of the show, yeah.
Yeah, no, you have, but I like him on SNL, and for me, he's my favorite part of Caddyshack. I know that's not like everyone goes to Rodney Dangerfield and Bill Murray.
That. No, but I can see it. He kills it in that. We've talked about this.
Yeah, he kills it in that, and he doesn't even got a lot of screen time. So I will give Chevy Chase props when I think he deserves it. But I agree.
Yeah,
he is. But he's
Community. He was great on Community.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a dick, and they don't shy away from it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No, they don't.
I wanted to make sure it was accurate. Okay, good.
Good. And
because he's the one. Like everyone else was nice. Like Aykroyd still seems like a guy I'd like to. Aykroyd right now seems like a crazy conspiracy theorist uncle that every now and then together you throw some back and you have a hell of a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be like, oh, let me tell you. Did I tell you about Skull Vodka? Did I tell you about the aliens? The aliens came with Skull Vodka. It's like, oh, Uncle Dan, calm down.
Billy Crystal. There's a gentleman who plays Billy Crystal in it too, who's really good. The guy who plays Lorne Michaels is really good. Also, someone plays Jim Henson on it too, because he was on the first episode of SNL.
Jim Henson
was pretty damn good.
Was he?
Yeah, and also George Carlin.
Yes, that I remember. That he was the first host, right?
Yeah, exactly. And William Dafoe is in the movie, and so is J.K. Simmons.
As who?
Or
is it a surprise?
No, it's not a surprise. I'm gonna be honest. The names are escape me, but like William Dafoe is kind of like one of the heads of NBC. because I don't know if you know the whole story behind.
Oh, okay. There.
What happened with SNL, like the whole thing? Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to necessarily spoil it or anything, but I mean, even though whatever the information's out there, but
yeah,
it's
spoiler for a
interesting.
75 for 1975 historical event.
Exactly. It's a docu film, but no, it's just interesting because the movie is played like chaos throughout the entire thing because that's what was happening leading up to it, and basically
Right.
SNL almost didn't exist if all of this didn't go right.
And that's crazy because SNL is such a American cultural institution at this point, to the point that like it's never going to get canceled, no matter how bad it's gotten, and it's been pretty rotten in certain years. They always just retool it and keep going.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you wouldn't. I guess most people now that's in it because they're celebrating their 50th season would not think of it as an underdog. But this is definitely Lorne Michaels and the not ready for primetime players are the underdogs in this thing because they were basically being set up to fail by NBC due to a contract dispute with Johnny Carson.
Oh, okay. I really do want to see this now because I it's crazy, but I am super interested in the political battlefield of the 1970s or old TV. It doesn't even 1970s. I love politics of old TV.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Like when I walked out of the theater, I was just like, number one, man, that was so much better than Joker, and Joker finally do. And then the other thing was
bang.
I'm sorry, I had to get in my shot. But the other thing was, I was like, I know Jason is one of the people who would enjoy this film because you like the behind the scenes minutia and stuff like that too. Of like you say, the politics.
I do.
Movies and TV shows and shit like that. So
I'm definitely going to check it out at some point. That sounds super cool. Yeah. Although I will say I'm going to wait for the sequel, which is I'm hoping is going to be an exploration of how Lorne Michaels got the kids in the hall on the air against all odds of them being 6 Canadians.
Listen, I would love to see that. Also, a show that I'm pretty sure we've discussed over the years that I was also a big fan of too. Kids and All.
I told you I saw them live, right? When I was still dating my ex, we saw them live, and it was like I met Dave Foley. The picture with me and Dave Foley, and we looked like brothers at the time because I still had hair and he still had hair.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's get into it then, shall we? Superman and Lois season 4, episode 2 kicked off on the CW last week. The official end of the quote-unquote Arrowverse that is here. And then I did see a story that broke that apparently in episode 10, which will be the finale, because they did get a abbreviated final season to wrap up this whole show, that they will have an acknowledgement that this is the official end, really the official end of the Arrowverse. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I'm curious to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, me too.
Overall thoughts on this thing too, because again, we're not going to go beat by beat throughout the 2 episodes, but I really enjoyed this. I was really heavily and kind of, I'm going to be honest, emotionally invested in what was going on here.
Yep.
Because I felt it was really intense. These first 2 episodes, and a lot of it is because of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, and none of it. Well, no, I'm not going to say none of it, but like, who has the least screen time in these 2 episodes?
Superman.
It's our good friend Superman. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's barely in it. Yet these are 2 amazing episodes that, as you say, amp up the tension, heighten the oh my God, what's going to happen? And again, it comes back to what we've said before. This is Superman and Lois, because these 2 episodes, it's Lois and the boys. It's their show. Superman is off, and we see him every now and then. But like between Lex Luthor and his machinations going after Lois and Lois's thing, it's like that's what we get in these 2 episodes. And again, this is a show called Superman, and we barely get him. And these episodes work so well.
Yeah, and we've also discussed over time that like sometimes when we get strong episodes that don't feature the main character, or like, you know, whatever the headlining character, because this show is titled Superman and Lois for a reason, right? Like they are
It is. It is.
co-headlining the show, and they always have, which I think is a different take on this, which I enjoy that, but it's just like it's wild because like in episode 1, we see it picks up at the end of last season where Doomsday was fighting Superman and they're having this all-out battle, and it kind of goes into space. And that's kind of where the last season left off. This season picks up, but basically through the first episode, that fight is still happening, and the world doesn't know where the hell he is. Like they don't know if he's alive. They don't know what's going on here. And Lois and the boys are picking up, trying to figure out what the hell happened. Like, where is he? And a lot of people, you know, especially like General Lane and stuff, really believe in the fact that he's going to come through. Like Jonathan Kent and General Lane are the two that are really like, he'll win. Don't worry about it. He's going to be fine. He always comes back. He'll always be there. You know, it doesn't matter. Not that Lois and Jordan have necessarily given up, but they seem to be more open to the concept that maybe he might not be coming back. Like there is a possibility here that it might not be there. So I thought that was an interesting dynamic that we're getting from two sides of this whole thing.
Yeah, and you even have that moment where Jordan, I think this is because Jordan's the one with the superpowers, right? I'm terrible.
Yes.
Jordan is a superpower, right? Mm-hmm. So Jordan has that moment with Lois where like I can hear him, and she goes, "No, he said not to go after him, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Focus on your grandfather." And I think that's the moment they both kind of accept, like, not even it's he's not coming back, but it's also whether he comes back or not, there's nothing we can do for him.
Yeah.
Like that's up to him. There's no, we can do what's going on here. We can fix this. We can work on this, but what's going on up there, it's beyond us. And I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of like a control what you can control situation with them, right? Like we can't do nothing about this. He asked us not to, so let's just do what we can do. You're right. That's
right.
That's an interesting point to it. And General Lane at this time is kidnapped by Lex Luthor, right? And he goes to the point where they're burying him alive. Like they're trying to question him and give him information. They bury him fucking alive.
Yeah, and this was interesting too because initially, if you need the recap last season on Superman and Lois, General Lane was taken hostage by someone that he was dating, that he met on an app, and that was part of his kind of journey of trying to open up again and be a person again and not just a general. Mm-hmm. And so she betrayed him and took him in. And so there's an interesting dynamic between them where he's like, was any of this real? And she was like, I had a good time. You're a nice guy. And he's also, you see him, he's playing her because he's got his hands tied behind his back and he's still the general. He's getting himself out. And he like headbutts her and escapes. And then like Otis catches him. But I thought that what was really interesting after that was like Lex being like, I was going to make it painless, but now you tried to escape. And then he looks over and this is what, like this Lex is chilling to me. Like this is the most chilling Lex we've ever seen. He just goes, make it this mixture of cement and water because that's going to be the most painful to suffocate in. And I'm like, oh my God, he knows the most painful mixture of cement or dirt or whatever, mud to suffocate in. And B, he's just like, yeah, he wronged me. No pain to max pain.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to discuss like this characterization of Lex Luthor. So he's extremely different from any Lex Luthor I've seen, to be honest with you, in any iteration prior. But I don't think...
I've never seen a Lex like this.
No, but I'm going to be honest. I think I like it. Like, this is a very different thing. And
I do too.
When we get all these different versions of these characters in different mediums, whether it be movies, animated movies, live action TV, whatever have you, like you do kind of have to tweak it. And I think it's commendable to go your own thing. Like as much as you can, we banged on the DCEU and their Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor, which was mostly universally hated.
Terribly executed.
Terribly executed, but I do give them props for trying something different. I will give them that part.
New.
Like, you tried something new. It wasn't just Gene Hackman, real estate tycoon situations again. No nuclear man bullshit. Like, he tried something a little bit different. Right. This Lex Luthor,
yeah, it wasn't the first run.
Yeah, it's not Gene Hackman. He's nothing like Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah. He's nothing like Kevin Spacey. He's nothing like John Cryer, who me and you both like adored in the Arrowverse. And they went and we were both hoping at one point that we were going to see John Cryer in this Superman and Lois. But
yeah, I think
we got this
until we saw the tone. Yeah,
exactly.
And I'll say this: I think this show understands what BVS didn't. Right? That you need a Lex Luthor's whole point is to mirror Clark Kent. They are like Batman and Joker, two sides of the same coin. Right? One is brawn, one is brain, one stands for everything right, one is very shifty, and they're interconnected, two sides, heads and tails, right? And Jesse Eisenberg wasn't anyone's tails. He wasn't Henry Cavill's tails. He was just a fucking weird billionaire who was with poorly written dialogue and piss in a jar. Thank you, by the way. That is the title of our show. But like, this Superman is an older Superman, a family man, a man who, because of his family and his kids, has become something more. This Lex Luthor has had his family, in his perceived mind, taken away. He is the opposite. He is what could happen when you have family and they're taken away. Because I was thinking a lot about this because they talk about this in this, like, well, Lex has tried to kill Superman a ton of times and he never, did it. And so there's this history of a budding young Superman, and we kind of get some flashbacks in these two episodes. A budding young Superman going around doing Superman things, Lois doing her budding reporter thing, Lex doing his budding villain thing. But now we're older and things have changed because family's involved on both sides. And I think that's why he's so chilling. It's because this Superman, and Hotchner in particular, is so endearing. Family is his strength. Family is Luthor's weakness. And that's what this show understands. They're the same sides of the coin.
Wow, that was well put. Wow. Nice job. That was well put.
I have... Look, I get them sometimes.
No, that was very well. But yeah, you're right. And every time it's another one of these things where it's like when he's on screen, like it's almost unsettling. And like I almost like sit up in my chair more, and I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Like none of the characters.
When he comes in and he sits with the boys, and we know Jordan has powers. And I'm still, and you just see it. This is good direction too. This is why I'm going to miss this show so much. You just get shots of different people in the town looking over. And they're concerned, and there's one guy who even kind of gets up to say something and then backs down because it's like they're in trouble. But that's Lex Luthor, like we can't, but we should, but we can't. And I think the fact that everyone has that reaction to him. Every time he's around, we're unsettled because we're the town, right?
Yeah, right. So yeah, and so the Lex Luthor in this show is played by most people would know from he was Abraham on The Walking Dead, Michael Colbitz. Yeah.
I can't believe that's Abraham because I actually do know who that is, and I don't even recognize him.
No, because he was like a pretty cool dude on that, but in this, like, he is a super chilling badass who is definitely a Lex Luthor who's just gotten out of prison, and we get a lot of that, like and I don't think they ever name drop her. And actually, I'm sorry, so they have her listed as Amanda McCoy, who's kind of like his assistant. Who I was kind of wondering if she was supposed to be Mercy, who in the comics and everything, and
Isn't
other
Mercy
iterations
Asian?
Yeah, but I couldn't tell if she. I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't tell if this character was or was not. Like, I wasn't really
Okay, I
100%
didn't even
sure.
clock it.
No, but or whatever. Or maybe she was just a different. I don't know. Well, apparently she's not though, because I don't think he. I was kept listening to see if he ever says her name, because we know Tessmacher was
He
mentioned
doesn't.
at some point, and then Otis and stuff. Yeah, he doesn't ever mention a name. I mean, it seems like they might have some sort of relationship on some level, maybe in his one scene that's kind of maybe hinted at a little bit.
Well, yeah, well, she's the only person who speaks to him like a person. Like she's the only person who speaks to him like a peer or equal. Like she says to him when he buys the hotel, which this is again chilling. He buys the hotel through a shell company across from where Lois works, so he could make it known that he lives there. He's not hiding, right? And she says to him, "All right, I moved you in. Can I make this nice? Can you let me put some window covering on?" And there's a familiarity there. And he goes, "No, this isn't a prison cell. That's all I need." But there's a familiarity there because everyone else except for Lois Lane is like, "Yes, Mr. Yes, Mr. Luthor. Sorry, Mr. Luthor."
Yeah. And that's what I kind of was getting at. Was that scene was when he's just like, "Yeah, I don't care as long as it's not a prison cell. I'm not buying any furniture. I'm not doing any of this shit. Like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I am so laser focused on my revenge that it doesn't. None of that matters. Like, I don't need any of that shit." And I also wanted to mention that Lex Luthor and his kind of beef with Superman it's a different angle, because his beef is really with Lois Lane, and him killing Superman is a way to get at Lois Lane. Which I thought was very interesting.
And I actually love that because again, it makes it more equal of their story, right? Like he's not going after Clark. He's not going after Superman because Superman made him lose his hair. He's going after Superman because Lois Lane wrote a piece that incriminated him, got him put into jail that he didn't do over something he didn't do. Legitimately, we know that he didn't do it, right? But there is, and they bring this up in this episode. And again, this is why I really appreciate that. I'm going to miss this so much. This is my favorite Superman at this point because they bring this in. Like he says to her, "Well, ever since I've been attacking Superman, ever since I found kryptonite, you've been coming after me more." And that brings up like, well, her journalistic integrity is compromised. And then, well, did she publish that because Luthor's a bad guy, or did she publish that because Luthor's going after her boyfriend? Because at that point, her and Clark were a thing. She knew Clark was Superman. And I think that's so intelligent because they're not saying Luthor's a good guy. No one is saying that. Everyone's saying Luthor should be in prison for something.
Yes.
But they're saying it shouldn't, just not that thing. Exactly. And I think that is such a nuanced, intelligent take on it. And his whole thing is Superman protects you, your dad protects you, I'll remove them, and then I can do what I want to you. And again, it's so smart because what can Lex Luthor do to Superman? Snipe at him. Call creatures to him. What can Lex Luthor do to Lois Lane once her protectors are gone? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out this season.
Yeah, and again, for a show for different mediums, I think it's so interesting that they found a way to keep this concept of Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor fresh, because we get a completely different angle, and it's really smart on the show's part. And you mentioned the flashbacks,
and it's very similar. So I was going to say it's very similar to the stuff they were doing with Intergang last season as well. I want to make that connection, but go ahead. You were moving on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And that's the thing. This show has shown us things that are just different angles from a story that it's as old as time at this point. So we've seen so many different things, and I think that's why they have me and you hooked into this, because it's different. It's completely different. And again, Jason and I are not like massive Superman fans, but this show is our favorite iteration of him. And if you are a fan of Superman, we highly recommend you check the show out if you haven't, because you're missing out, and it's going to be gone after the season, unfortunately.
This show has made me a Superman fan. I used to be very much in the camp of Superman is boring. He's too powerful. Either he can beat everything or it's doomsday, in which case they draw and he comes back. But now I'm like, and I think I've said this in previous seasons, like now I'm like, no, this has weight because it's not about Superman's physical well-being. It's about his family, his emotional state, what happens in the world because of him. And I think it's such a fresh approach, and it has really made me interested in the character. Like, if I knew that there was a run of Superman that kind of played around with these themes, I would at the very least look into the trade paperback to take a look at it. And I don't read Superman comics, and if I don't read comics anymore, but if I'm going to read a comic, it's not going to be Superman. It's going to be Batman or X-Men or something like that. But that is how much I like this show and how much it has made me interested in Superman as a character.
Yeah. So you had mentioned the flashbacks in episode 1 here that we get, and it's usually through Lois's flashbacks, and she's missing, Clark and everything like that, and she's kind of recapping different points in their relationship, which I thought was interesting, like when they had first met and everything like that, and the first time
so cute
they slept together, which I thought was the crazy thing with that scene was that was Clark's first time.
Yeah, but I was thinking about this too. That makes sense to me, right?
Of course it does. He's all-American boy.
On a symbolic, he is. But also, you got to be really, really, really in love as an adult to know that you are Superman and attempt to have sex with a human woman. Like, him and Lana were like, we don't want a Hancock situation, all right?
It's true. I don't know. I don't know, because I guess before this I kind of assumed him and Lana have, but apparently not. I was wrong, but you're right. Like, he probably had to be careful too because he didn't want to kill somebody.
Yeah. Right. I'm willing to bet he went down on Lana Lang. He fingered Lana Lang. He always very nicely went, "I'm okay, thank you," when she tried to do hand stuff or mouth stuff because he was afraid of what was going to happen. Because they were also in high school, so I'd like to think it was just that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He may have hurt her too with that. Like, I don't know. Like, Superman in general. Like, it's I guess we're going down the Mallrats thing right now.
Well, but that's the thing. All right, not to go too far down the Mallrats thing, but it is easier to control yourself when you are doing things than it is when things are being done to you. So I could completely see a 15, 16-year-old Clark Kent with Lana Lang being, you know what? I can touch people without killing them. I can caress your hair without killing you like you're a rabbit from Of Mice and Men. I have practiced all this. Okay, I think I can handle some finger stuff or mouth stuff. I'm not going to get into it. It's not going to turn me on because I really got to focus on not killing you, but I can do this. But if it's like, hey, I want to do some mouth stuff to you, it's like, no, I'm going to get to a point where I don't know what's going to happen. And I can't let myself get to that point with you in the crossfire. So completely makes sense to me.
Yeah. And I thought it was just interesting. And then he I don't know. It also made me laugh when Lois's first reaction was because we get into how he's a baseball fan and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh, I'll turn the Cal Ripken thing around. Yeah. It's okay, so Cal's not watching." And he's like, laughs. That, yeah. He's like, "No, that's not it." And he was like, "Oh, well, she's like, you better get ready for the best night of your life and stuff like that." I'm like, "Oh, look at these two." But it was very sweet.
I love that. I love the relationship. It was so sweet, and I think it was it's like all jocular humor aside that I was just making. I think this really stands out because it's perfect symbolism, right? Like Lois is the first woman he ever loved enough the first person he ever loved enough outside of his parents, which is a different kind of love. You trust your parents because you have to, right? They're kind of you're kind of responsible for your survival. But this is him finding a person and revealing his true self to her for the first time. So in a way that he couldn't do with anyone else before. And I think that that's the metaphor there, right? Like he's a virgin in that moment. It's not, yes, it's sex because that's the grounded metaphor. But really what's going on is he's bearing himself and sharing himself with a partner fully for the first time, like in that moment, because it's the moment that he tells her he's Superman, right? Like let's not forget that. This is the moment that he tells her, I, Clark Kent, am Superman. And she's met them both. This is huge. So that's why he's a virgin in this scene.
Yeah. So and I think that whole thing of Lois's flashbacks definitely brought me to and it was so well done by the show to bring you to the emotional point of what happens at the end of the episode, because then we get cut-ins to Doomsday and Superman off planet fighting very it's TV CGI, which is fine. It's still much better than anything the Flash was doing at certain points and shit like that.
And
it was solid for.
And I'm going to say this: I think this Doomsday makes more sense, and dare I say, looks better than the shit we got in BVS.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Everything made more sense.
Does. It just does.
Yeah. So they get into they have their battle at different points, and at the end of the episode, Doomsday's coming at him, and he goes to charge up his eyes and lets loose on him, and it doesn't work. And there's a huge blast and everything like that. And Doomsday takes his body and brings it back to where the fight started in Smallville and throws his fucking carcass on the ground with a missing hole in his chest because Luthor told him, I want his heart. And literally ripped his heart out of his chest like Kano style, which is crazy.
Yep.
And gives it to Lex Luthor, and the body is there with the hole in it, given to Lois and the boys, and their reaction after that whole buildup is just the emotional way that it's fucking sad as hell. It's really sad as hell, and that's where the first episode basically ends.
And when the next episode starts, I give all of these actors so much credit because you see these two kids, you see Lois, you see, and we know that's her husband and their dad, right? But the only people who know, and this is the point of the scene, right? In the beginning of the next episode, we see all these different people from the town looking at them. Same people who were afraid of Lex Luthor in the first episode. And Lana has to come in as the mayor going, hey, we know that's her friend. Come on, back off. Because they wanted to get in and see what was gone. And I just, all of that really worked for me. Like they, at this point, the kids and Lois, they don't give a shit who knows what's what. Their husband, their father is dead. It doesn't, or might be dead. It doesn't matter who knows that Clark Kent secret anymore. That's off the table. But Lana's still there as kind of like a shield for them, knowing that, no, this can't get out. Like, no, get back. And the emotion was there. Everyone was doing their part acting-wise there, and it was just such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, and then Lois tells Jordan to take him to the fortress, and he does. And basically, his body's dropped off there, and they're like, listen to the consciousness of his mother is basically saying, hey, I'll do what I can for him, but I need his heart. Like, you need to in order to repair, him to heal, he needs to be whole. And this episode 2 is mainly about Jordan going ahead and trying to get his heart from Lex Luthor. And there's that whole thing that plays throughout the episode. And there's also a theme going here too, where Jordan badly wants to help. He's got his powers, but he could only do so much. And then Jonathan Kent is trying to help him, and he's also trying to look in Lex's apartment and stuff like that, while Lex is actually at the diner where Lana's daughter is, and trying to distract him at one point. And that kind of doesn't really go the way they think it is. And then there's this fucked up game because Lex sees through all their shit, puts it together,
Oh yeah,
sees what's what.
Lex goes to that diner to set this trap. 100%.
Yeah, because he has that recording, that phone recording that he calls Lois with.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically saying, "Hey, it's his audio. It starts off as Clark's voice, then it's not, and then." Which I kind of imagine was something like a Scream thing where it just kind of like talks to the thing and stuff like that.
Gotta be, right?
About that. Yeah.
Hey, Lois, it's Clark. What's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie? And then he basically says to choose, press 1, which one of your sons you want to live. 1 or 2. And it's fucked up and she won't answer it until she does later on and we don't see what button she presses. And ironically, Lana Lang goes and helps to save Jonathan and get him out of his thing. But I thought it was interesting. The one with the powers with Jordan is the one who Lex essentially has almost beaten down and can kill. And he doesn't kill. And he steps on something that is supposed to be Clark's heart. No, he doesn't want to. His game isn't over yet. His revenge isn't done. He's not done with Lois yet. So he wants this to keep going. Were you buying that was his heart? Because I don't think so. I think that was a visual to fuck with Jordan.
I wasn't until we saw at the end of Clark's consciousness in the ship, like his mom, and he's like, "This is all you got left of me," and like, I don't know how that technology works. I don't know if you can do that before someone's dead. I don't know. So I was completely thinking like, all right, he's coming back, like right at some point in this episode or whatever. And that can't be his heart. And then when we see him at the end as like the Force ghost, pretty much like his mom has been, and like we've seen his father as well, it's like, or in maybe not in this incarnation. We watch a lot of Superman, so we've seen his father in this as well, incarnation as well. But that's when I kind of said, like, was that really his heart? Like, because he can't be dead. It's not the end. Like, it's not the last episode. It's the first 2 episodes of the season. But he's a Force ghost now. That has to mean something.
Yeah, but I also think it's because his heart stopped beating. I think it's because, and this is my estimation here. All right, there's nothing concrete here. I don't know. I have a feeling that I think that was just a visual thing to fuck with him, to make him. It was just to further the torture. I think he has some other use for that heart still, besides just a trophy. I don't know. It's just me. And I do think the consciousness could go because she's under the belief that he's dead. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, I guess that's it. That was the only thing. Like, so if he comes back, does his consciousness go back? That was the only thing that threw me off and made me think, like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I guess they would have to kind of like dig into it and explain it a little bit more. But that's my guesstimation at the moment. That I think that's what's going on. I could be totally wrong. Maybe that was actually his heart, and he physically destroyed his heart right in front of his son, which is really fucked up.
But it is. But also that means Superman's dead, and Superman is not Bruce Wayne's parents, and he's not Uncle Ben.
Yes, so that has to be the way.
Right. But I do want to point something out about Jordan, because in this episode, or especially around the time when Lois is being forced to choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is some stuff with, like, so Jordan goes off half-cocked to kind of confront Lex the first time, and as a result, Lex figures out, oh, Clark Kent was Superman, and you're his son, and shit, and he even says, like, I should have realized that. Like, he's disappointed in himself. He didn't realize that. And he tells Jordan, well, I'm going to give you a pass this time, but don't come up against me until you're ready next time. And then when Jordan goes up against him again, that's when he's like, I warned you, and he crushes the heart. But around that, you see a lot of pictures of Jordan, like, posing with people and, like, really embracing his superhero-ness. And Lois says something about, like, he's looking for fame, right? That her and I think her dad are talking, or her and the other kid are talking about he's
Lana,
looking
it
for
was
fame.
Lana.
And it made me think, oh, it was Lana. Okay. Lana was like, he's looking for fame. And I was thinking, like, very interesting, because we're still dealing with Bizarro Superman as Doomsday. We just got finished with the Bizarro world where Jordan's brother is Superboy and looking for fame, and Jonathan, and super powered. And now I'm kind of curious, like, is the arc of this season going to be him becoming corrupted by Luthor the same way his brother was corrupted in the other world? Like, because I think they're trying to draw a parallel there.
Interesting, because I was gonna say is that I do know that there's one point where it is name dropped that in the media they are referring to him as Superboy. Like, that is a thing
That's what made me think. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if I was
necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know if I was necessarily thinking he was going to be corrupted by Luthor. And I think when that conversation that Lois has with Lana regarding, like, she's like, well, him getting the powers I thought would help him cope with his emotional, stress and his challenges and things like that. But this might be the worst thing that's ever happened to him and stuff like that. But she also says to him at one point when she's reprimanding him that you're not your father yet. Like,
yeah,
you'll get there one day, but you haven't finished your training or like that. And you're definitely not ready for Luthor on any level yet. And this episode obviously proves that, and it drives it home. And even to the point where he is in his room talking to his brother and really is doubting himself again until he sees the opportunity to save his father and goes back for it. So,
right.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's the corrupting part, but I get where you're going, though.
Right. Maybe not corruption, but I think there are parallels. Yeah. I think that
there's parallels, but I also
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think it's more in terms of I think it's just gonna be like, this is what happens when Superboy turns out correctly. Like, he's having some really tough things happen to him in the death of his father, because everything he does in this episode now, in these two episodes, is about saving his father. I don't think it's about fame or anything. Things prior to this, I fully agree with you. He was like full of himself last season and things like that, and he was kind of like, showing off a bit. And even there's that scene where she even Lois tells him, this is not a forest fire. This is Lex Luthor now. This is a whole nother league.
Yeah.
Like, you're way above your head right now. And I think he kind of gets in check with this. Like, this humbles him, the events of episode 2. So what we shall see where, his whole arc.
Yeah.
But no, I find his arc very interesting.
I agree with you. I actually think that, like, because I think we're going to, of course, Superman's coming back at some point. I don't think it's going to be next episode. So that's why I think at the very least we're going to get an exploration of what does it look like when Superman's family doesn't have him there to guide him. Mm-hmm. And, like, Lois is Lois. Lois doesn't need a guide. I think Jonathan's very much like Lois, and he's going to kind of follow her. But I think it leaves for Jordan to kind of go off on his own as like, well, I'm the super guy now, and that's what I meant about corruption. Like, I definitely think they're going to play with. I think at the end of this season, it's absolutely going to be, no, this is what happens when Superboy goes right. But I am predicting that in the subsequent episodes, we're going to see him tested at trials and not always pass.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I want, as much as I want to see Superman Clark back, which my guess is probably by like episode 5. I think midway through the season we'll get him back. Because I do think it's also not bringing him back right away adds some more emotional weight to his death and his return. Like, you bring him back too quickly, it's almost like, yeah.
If you crush his heart at the end of this episode and bring him back by the end of the next, it's like he was never away.
Yeah. So you got to do that. And knowing this show so far, as much as we have, like they'll do the right thing because they seem to know really what they're doing. So
I have 100% faith that this show will do exactly the best thing in every, given every opportunity they're given. Like the writing of this show for these last couple of years, everything we've seen, this is possibly and granted, it only ran 4 seasons, but this and Black Lightning are the thing strongest from start to finish, unless this really fucks up this season.
Yeah, which I think we'll end up learning is that when we do our post-mortem, I guess, I think we sort of did one, but we could really do a post-mortem on the Arrowverse. And apparently the secret sauce was only do 4 seasons. All the other shows that went past 4, even though Legends we gave props to, but apparently 4 was the sweet spot for these shows.
Yeah, and I want to say Legends was different because Legends didn't actually get started until the end of the second season. Like it didn't find its feet until that when they bring in like the time police and stuff, that's when they really find their footing. And that's also a show that was so ridiculous that they could do anything and it's justified. So that was an anomaly. But you're right. Like Flash after season 4 went downhill. Supergirl, God, we talked about that ad nauseum. So, but yeah, so join us at the end of this so we can really discuss the postmortem of this.
Yeah.
Speaking to our audience, of course.
And there was one other thing that I thought was kind of ironic, though, and I guess you would actually somewhat, I don't know if you checked out by this point, but I thought some irony here when this is a Walking Dead thing is I kind of was getting somewhat Negan vibes, the way that Lex Luthor had the entire, like all our heroes on their knees, basically, and kind of at his will. You know what I mean? Because after the whole Glenn Abraham, ironically, it was Abraham, was the other character that was murdered by Negan, in the episode that
was it?
Because yes, it was. It was Abraham.
Okay, because I checked out way before Negan, and and if you're ever interested, I can tell you the exact moment I checked out of that show. But and then when I heard about Negan killing Glenn, who was my favorite character, I went, oh man, fuck that. So I didn't even realize he killed Abraham because I heard Glenn and I went, nah, fuck, I don't know anything. Fuck you, I don't know anything. Get out of here. Walking Dead, you're dead to me. Keep walking.
It was Abraham and Glenn. I just found it interesting that the same actor who played Abraham now is kind of like in the Negan role because I just feel like he has all our heroes like in despair at his will at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's something that I thought about during episode 2.
That's a good actor. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you noticed, Ed, before we move on from this, I'm actually working right now on the Lex Luthor beard from this show.
To tell you the truth,
I've realized. Were you? As I realized I'm going gray. I used to be blonde, and now I'm kind of going gray, and I'm kind of embracing it. So I want to see if I can get as long as that Lex, because the beard work on that actor, the beard work is fantastic.
It is. It's impressive. All right, let's just move it on now. We'll jump over to the MCU for Agatha All Along, episode 5. That's spoiler tickets across the bottom. So if you haven't seen Agatha All Along episode 5, then you have been warned. All right. So it feels like just not long ago we were talking about the other ones. So this episode basically continues with the trials that are here, and we get another one here. And this is Agatha's trial in this episode, essentially, that goes down here. And she is possessed by her mother at various points. And we get some flashbacks of what happened with her and her original coven and stuff like that. And the possession stuff of Agatha by her mother, to me, I got like some more Evil Dead vibes in this. I don't know 100%. About you, but I certainly 100%. Did, and I was all here for it.
100%. Yeah, that absolute Evil Dead vibes. And I think what's interesting about this episode is kind of a nod to other other things, right? Like it starts off with them being chased by the Salem Seven and having to don broomsticks. And there's this whole discussion about how come the older witches don't like broomsticks? It's commercial, right? I thought that was funny because it's kind of like, yeah, witches do this. And then we get to the trial, and it's pretty much an 80s cabin in the woods, and they all walk in, and they all transforms like into 80s pajamas, like they're in a sleepover, and the teen reads out what's going on, like the rules of the Ouija board, which is laid out for them, because the whole thing is you have to contact the dead, and that's Agatha's thing. And they say the reason it has to be Agatha because when you've killed as many people as Agatha, you have to commune with the dead. And she fakes it at first and pretends to be Miss Hart, aka Sharon something, Bunny, Kitty rather.
Yeah, Kitty. Just go with Kitty. It's fine.
Kitty. And then she actually does become possessed. And when she becomes possessed, you're right. She gets the white face. It's like the talking like it's very Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm. I kind of, in saying that, I also almost wish that somehow they have gotten like Sam Raimi to direct this episode, so you can get some of that Evil Dead camera work like that Sam Raimi does. Would have been fucking awesome to do that.
That would have been
but
fun.
It looks great. It looks great. It definitely is more horror, Halloween, and that's where I give a lot of kudos to Marvel for dropping this when they're dropping it, because it's like the perfect season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like this show just if anything about this show, like if you're not over the moon with it or whatever, the tone is the perfect time to drop this, right? Like we're also doing our deep dive into Nightmare on Elm Street, so we're all in like with horror and stuff like that now too. So this show is like definitely like landing a little bit more for me than that. And I will say is my one knock towards this episode is that it's only 32 minutes. This is the shortest episode of the season.
It's
and it feels
short,
very quick.
Yeah, and it does feel quick, and it actually should have been longer because there's a lot going on this episode, right? So we get the reintroduction of the Salem Seven, and they explain they're now on the Witch's Road. We left the door open. They're following us. We gotta go. Mm-hmm. Who are the Salem Seven, you ask? Well, that is explained in this episode. It is what we saw in WandaVision when she killed her coven, which I love that episode in WandaVision. And I loved her killing her coven because I'm like, you're trying to kill her. Fuck them.
Yeah.
And one of the coven members is her mother. But so she kills them. And then you find out that the Salem Seven are their children. Because she didn't want to kill children. She wanted to be merciful. And they went crazy, became a hive mind witch bent on killing Agatha. That's what they want to do. And she actually has a line that says, moral of the story, compassion is overrated. And always finish what you start.
And it also further drives home the thing that we are enjoying with this in Penguin is that they're not anti-heroing these villains. They're making sure that these villains are still villains. Like they're still not good people, which is important.
Yes. But I'm going to say after the end of this episode, there needs to be some shift with Agatha because I really can't stand her by the end of this episode. I don't necessarily because all right, so like we're jumping around, right?
Yeah,
we're not going scene by scene.
No.
Yeah, so the end of this episode, her because it's so short, but her mother keeps possessing her, and then they get rid of her mother, and then the mother's like, well, you know what? I should have killed her when she was born out of the womb. Just you leave her with me. And they're about to do that, and she possesses her. And the witch who's like the Nepo witch, I forget her. I don't know names, but you know what I mean. The Nepo witch,
Alice.
Alice is like, no, you can't take her, and she starts using her power and thrusts the mother out. And then what do we know about Agatha? What's her power? Oh, She could take the power of the witches who use it against them, and it kills them. And that's what she does. And she claims that she didn't have control, but I don't know if I believe that. Nothing in these 4 episodes have showed me that she cares about any of these people.
No, I don't think she does. The only one she did care about on any level was Teen, which we'll get to more about him in a second, because that was like the big reveal. And yeah, I agree. And I also, what did you think of them killing off Alice? Because Alice actually dies trying to save Agatha.
I hated it. And I hated it was Agatha who did it. And I hate the fact that I don't know if Agatha did it on purpose or not. Because I liked Alice. And I think the point, from what I see, the point of this show is like, trust your fucking coven, man. Become a coven. Like, you're not a coven if you're just 4 people working for power together, ready to fuck each other over. And I think that is what I think the point of the show is supposed to be. And I'm sure it'll get back. But right now, it's like they want to kill Agatha, and then they don't, and then they leave her to the mother, and then they try to save her, and then she kills Alice, and then even Teen turns on her, and then it ends with Teen pretty much sending them all to the depths of a bog. And how does he look, Ed? How does he look?
He looks like a witch. Some might say...
Take your victory lap, Ed, but...
Some might say like a Scarlet Witch.
Take your victory lap. However,
I shall take my victory lap.
I am going to say this. I still think he's Blackheart.
Oh!
And now I think... No, I do. I still think he's Blackheart. And I think what I think now is that he is the son of Wanda Maximoff and Mephisto. Wanda Maximoff had to sell her soul for something to get the Darkhold. Is this kid the actor who played either of her 2 twins in those movies in WandaVision?
No. He's too old to have been that same child,
exactly,
like same actor.
So this is, they never said he is one of those imaginary kids. They implied he's the son of the Scarlet Witch. That doesn't mean he's one of those 2 kids, and it doesn't mean he's not Blackheart. She was really, really into the dark arts with the Darkhold, and I think we're going to find out that there are Faustian deals to be made with the Darkhold. Agatha did it. Wanda did it. And I think the Teen is going to... I still think he's Blackheart. And if he's not, they have to explain who Blackheart is and how he fits it, or they fit into the Coven. Because clearly they need a Blackheart for the Coven. That's canon at this point.
I'm going to say that I still think he's just Billy Maximoff. I think he is, he's Wiccan. I think that's as far as it goes. I still will stand by the fact he's not actually Blackheart. Angie still really believes that Rio Vidal is Blackheart, which I find out now Blackheart has turned into the Mephisto of the show. That's how, now we're all chasing Blackheart.
Now we're all chasing Blackheart. But the reason I don't think that makes sense is only because she has a history with Wanda. Wouldn't Wanda know that? Like, I don't know. If she were just a witch looking to kill Wanda, but they have a romantic history. She's very protective of Wanda. She's the only one who doesn't want to leave her with her mother. Oh, shit. Now that I'm saying this, that makes sense. She doesn't want to leave her with her mother because she was in love with her father. Yeah, that might actually be true. That actually makes sense, too.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm on board with that, because
Right.
I'm still sticking with the fact that she is just Rio Vidal, and I do think Blackheart should play a role in this, but I'm not sure if Rio Vidal is actually Blackheart. Is what I'm saying. I don't know if they're one and the same.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't think so either. But as I was walking it through, it made more sense than it did before I was talking about it. That's all I was saying.
Okay, so you are
whatever. Where's Mojo?
Well, we're not chasing Mephisto now. We're chasing Blackheart, and now we're trying to figure out if Blackheart is in the show and must be in the show now. So this is where we're at now. We're even saying another character is secretly, like, 2 other characters might secretly be Blackheart. I don't know. The Scarlet Witch also having a child, I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I still think just Billy Maximoff. I don't, maybe from another reality.
Maybe
that's where I could do that.
You put a Blackheart on the notepad with the Coven and make a point of saying it's a Blackheart. And then you go and recruit a woman whose name in a fictional world was Hart, only to have her killed. Lucy has some explaining to do, as Desi would say, if Blackheart's not involved in this.
Fair enough. Or we're just chasing our own tails and stuff like we did with Mephisto, and that's it.
But no. In all fairness, it was never like, WandaVision never had an episode where, like, here's my daddy, Mephisto. And we went, oh my God, Mephisto must be there because they mentioned him. We kind of went, we know the history. Mephisto was involved in this. He must be here. And we were wrong. They literally fucking drew a black heart, and someone said, a black heart? And Patti LuPone went, I had a black pen. I'm sorry. That's a smack in the face. We were chasing Mephisto shadows. They have literally dropped a black heart stake in the lion's den. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you. I do think Blackheart's involved. I just can't say I personally can pinpoint who necessarily it is, even if we've met Blackheart yet, because maybe we haven't.
Maybe we haven't. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm just chasing wild speculation. You guys are lucky I didn't find another ridiculous comic book character no one cares about to focus on. I'm actually focused on the show this time. Ed actually thought that I was getting those Mojo theories online. Didn't realize I was just making them up every week.
Jason, I cannot wait for the day that Mojo is officially into the MCU, and you, my friend, will do a huge victory lap.
I'm gonna the biggest victory lap. I might do a mile and just record it and make you all watch it. I'll go, Mojo, I got Mojo for a mile.
All right, so yeah, I mean, it's really, besides that, the ending was the reveal and stuff like that. So, is there anything else on Agatha all along before we keep it moving on?
Yeah, we can keep it moving on. I think we hit everything.
Yeah, just a pretty short. It's only 32-minute episode, so that's my only real knock
Yeah,
on it.
no,
but I enjoyed the episode. It was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I just think personally, this was the moment that you had her mother, you had the flashback to what happened in Salem. I really feel this was the emotional moment you needed to delve into that and maybe make this a 45-minute episode, 50-minute episode. Yeah. They didn't. I'm sure they'll do it in the future. If they don't, I'm gonna ding it for it. But yeah, that's my only ding. It's like it could have been 20 minutes longer and delved a bit more emotionally into that relationship between Agatha and her mom. But I guess with the way this one ended, where the team puts them all underwater, or all but Rio, right? Rio's not involved in that.
No, she's not, which is kind of interesting, the fact that she was not really in that. So I wonder...
Yeah, I think that was super interesting. So yeah, it opens up questions. I think there are missed opportunities, but other than that, I thought it was a fine episode.
Well, because Rio also knows... She did mention she knows who the team was the whole time. So I do wonder if there's some sort of thing that they're working together or something like that, is my question.
Yeah, it might be. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Even if Team doesn't know it. Because of the spell.
Yeah, because as we've seen also, Agatha has not made many friends over the time. So I mean, I
Yeah.
could see that where she, wants her revenge and stuff like that. There's also a couple of quick things that Aubrey Plaza, by the way, is still having a blast in this thing, just doing crazy
Oh,
shit and
she's
looking crazy
chewing
and
the
stuff like that.
scenery, enjoying every minute.
Yeah, which is always fun. All right. So then that moves us on to The Penguin, episode 3. Um, boy, dude, this show,
It's it's a great show.
this fucking show.
I can't even. This is like, I'm gonna share something that I found, like, because I've started watching it where I'm like, I'm so fascinated by the acting choices that that Colin Farrell like makes, right? Because I think this is his best role, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry that he might not like the fact that his best role is a comic book character, but I mean, Jesus Christ, this is his best role. And I noticed something so small this time as I was watching it. Did you realize that when he speaks, so normally when we speak, we end the last thing we say, the last sound on a stressed thing, right? We say thing, that, hello,
Mhm.
right? We always stress that. He unstresses it. It's this weird thing I just noticed. He's like, hello, like it's not even because that's even wrong, but he'll say thing like, and I can't even do it. I cannot do it. But go back and watch it, and you will notice that he is dropping the stress on the last vowel or consonant that he delivers. And my God, does that add to the character? It's just such a brilliant thing because it makes him sound kind of like a bird almost.
Holy shit! I'm gonna be episode 4. I'm gonna have to be so locked in on this now and his whole speech because
Just
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I didn't even notice that.
keep an eye on it. I was watching it last night, and I was like, and I made a note, and I don't normally make notes, but I made a note like he ends a lot of his sentences on an unstressed vowel or an unstressed consonant, and of course it's purposeful. And yeah, next time you watch it, just pay attention to that and listen to his speech pattern, and you'll see even in his speech pattern, he is trying to say like, "Oh, you're in charge," even while he's taking more control.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lock in on that. So take us through this, but like I thought it was a very fascinating episode because we learned so much. Like this is mostly a Vic episode, and
Yep,
we learn a lot about him, and especially like we see Vic prior to the events of the Batman in the beginning of this episode,
we do.
and his whole thing. And he had a girlfriend and stuff like that when the shit hit the fan, and we got to see what he lost. And I feel
He
like
lost his family. He lost everything.
everything because of the Riddler. And
Yep.
it's your emotional investment in Vic now after this episode is night and day. It changed a lot for me regarding this character.
Oh, 100%. Because we see him in the beginning, like, yeah, with losing everything with the Riddler. We see him with his girlfriend. We have that moment, and I'm going to jump around. We can go scene for scene in a bit, but if you want, but I'll jump around. We see him with his girlfriend, and like we see them before, and then we see them after, and she's like, "Hey, let's get out of here. Let's go." And he's like, "I don't know if I can. This guy, he might kill me." But what's really interesting about that journey is the Penguin, or I'm sorry, Oz, because he's not the Penguin, it's Oz.
He
Oz
gets
is not
called
going
the
to kill
Penguin
him.
at one point.
Oz, he does, and he murders a motherfucker, right? Or does he murder him? He lets him. No, it's Vidi, right? He has to let him live.
No, it's Vidi. No, he gets really close to fucking killing him.
Yeah, he almost kills him. Yeah. So like the relationship between Vic and Oz here is fantastic because Vic is Vic does want to do this. He's kind of interested in what's going on here. He wants a better life. He was boosting a car. Like, he clearly has no problem with criminality. But then his girlfriend saying, hey, let's go find a better place, a better thing. He kind of, sways him. Then he has the Penguin, Oz finds out about this, and they have this whole scene, which is fucking beautiful, where he's like, you think you're my prisoner here? You think I'm keeping you here against your will? You think you're too good for this life? This could all be yours. Wait a minute. I get it. We didn't discuss payment. And then he gives him $1,000. He gives $1,000 a week. This is your payment. And it's so good because it's, again, this is all character work, right? Vic is this lost soul who's lost everything. He just needs to find something. Oz is a guy who needs to see himself in someone else, right? He's a guy who's been shit on. He's had a hard life. He's disabled. In a very similar way that Vic is disabled. Like, not similar, but they're both disabled, quote unquote, because Vic has the stutter, right? But that's important because you see this bond forming. You see the Oz very much like, you're not my prisoner, you're my employee, you're my friend. And then we actually get a moment where they're having dinner together and Vic is ordering, and this waiter like finishes his sentence, and Oz goes, hey, he wasn't finished. You don't finish my friend's sentences. You let him go. And again, character work, beautiful.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the stuff with Vic, and we get to, when we see his backstory and we learn like throughout the episode, his whole thing is he's texting with this girl, his girlfriend, and the idea is they're going to skip town and get out of there. And he is still working with Oz throughout the episode, and they're doing various things. And their texts keep coming through while he's trying to do shit with Oz. And he's struggling with do I stay or do I go throughout this, right? Like, he's weighing. He's at a crossroads where it's just like, I choose option A, I leave with my girlfriend, and we move on, and I don't have this like criminal life and stuff. Or B, I stick with the guy whose car I was going to rob and actually is giving me a chance and really believes in me, and for lack of a better term, is taking him under his wing. And like, at first it was like going to be intimidation, but as the first 3 episodes have played on, it's Oz really cares about him and sees a lot in him and identifies with him, and is just like, yeah, I'm trying to give you the opportunity that I was given. I was, Sophia's driver. You're my driver. Like, there's parallels that Oz sees in this whole situation playing out, and you can see Oz genuinely cares about him. And you're right, that scene in the bathroom,
For sure,
where he sees Oz sees that text, and he's mortified by this. Like you had mentioned, like, not to recap the whole thing again, but like, he feels betrayed. Like, he feels this. And that's the best episode. That's the best scene in this episode for me, is that between Oz and Vic in the bathroom, of how betrayed Oz feels, and how like he just feels like, you feel I was wrong with you, like you mentioned prisoner and stuff. And that's where, and we even see where Vic makes the choice to not leave and skip town with his girlfriend, and chooses now to stay with Oz because he sees the opportunity, and he sees the mentor relationship that he's in now. That Oz isn't trying to intimidate him. He feels that there's a deep connection that they have. And that's really fascinating.
Yeah, I agree. Incredibly fascinating. And yeah, his realization of that is big because he makes a choice. And that's what I really like about this episode. Vic is given a choice. You can leave. Oz is not going to stop you. He's just said, you're not my prisoner. Here, this is for the week. There'll be more if you stay, but I'm not here to keep you here.
Yeah.
And he makes that decision on his own. And I think that's super important. And I think, no matter what happens in the future, I don't know what's going to happen. That's a beautiful thing about this show. All I know is the Penguin eventually winds up on on top of the food chain. I don't know what happens to anyone else.
Yeah, we know
Vic could be killed. The Penguin could kill Vic.
Yep.
We don't know. But this is Vic making the choice. I'm sorry, I kept interrupting you.
No, that's fine. No, we know that he will become the Penguin as we know him. Probably he will fight. He will face off with Batman eventually again in a movie, and that will be that. Now, the journey of how he gets there is what's fascinating. So, the things that are now from Oz's point, like besides the stuff with Vic, he's got this. He's got the drug now, right? Like they got Bliss. That's the name of the thing. Mm-hmm. And it was apparently concocted from something that was being given to Sophia in Arkham, right? That's what was going on here. And it's just like euphoric drug and stuff like that. And it's a new thing. And they're trying to find a distributor. And they end up selling it to these like triads in this neighborhood. And there's this whole negotiation that goes on with it. And I love the scene where, you know, Oz and Sophia are trying to negotiate this in the club. And meanwhile, like Vic is going around being like the bag man throughout the thing, and they're distributing it. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. I will go to another family, whether it's you or someone else. This is top level shit. I don't fucking need you. Okay, yeah. So whoever it is. And seeing Sophia and Oz working together at that point of how powerful they can be together was. Mm-hmm. It was something that it was a realization, and the other thing between them was actually really interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it is revealed that the reason she was in Arkham was because Oz turned on her, right? Yep. Because Oz was her driver. She did something that was outside the purview of what she was supposed to do, and Oz turned her in. And she asked him, "I went to Arkham because of that. Was it worth it for you?" And his response, was it worth it? See what I mean? Was it worth it? That's the way he speaks, right? That's unstressed. He goes, I got the lounge. I got my status. I became capo. He goes through all the things he did. He goes, so was it worth it? Yeah, it was worth it. Am I sorry? Yes, I didn't think they were going to do that to you. Great moment, right? Because she's calling him out on something he did wrong to her and asking him, is it worth it? Like, you know, don't you feel bad? And he's like, yeah, it was worth it. I got more than I wanted to, but I'm sorry. I thought that was a cool scene.
Yeah, because from what we know of Oz is that, and his whole thing, and it's a lot of it's like, I don't know if it's manipulated by his mother or motivated by his mother and throughout the first couple episodes was like his drive, his want for more, his want for being, again, what we know, like he'll be the crime kingpin that he becomes. Mm-hmm. For him to get there, he has to step on some people. He has to fuck people over. It's just what it is. It's, you know, it's a very cutthroat fucking situation in business he's in that he's chosen. And you're right. So on one hand, he doesn't regret anything he got, but he didn't want to do that to her. He didn't really think of the ramifications, but he's got it.
And I think that's going to parallel how Vic ends in the season or the series. It's only going to be one season because he genuinely likes Vic, but he also genuinely likes Sophia.
Yeah,
I truly believe him when he says it was worth doing what I did, but I'm sorry what happened to you happened to you.
Yeah.
He's not saying he would do anything differently. And I think at some point, this is my prediction. I'm going to look, it's my Mephisto prediction, my Blackheart prediction rage. I think at some point near the end of this series, he's going to have to make a similar decision with Vic. And he's going to do it. And
I say the same thing.
That's what's... Yeah, were you? It's going to put him over. And that's... Yeah. I mean, they're setting it up so well; it has to.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. That they're establishing the relationship with Vic and Oz so much, and between Sophia too. That Oz is going to be put in that situation where he's going to have to fuck Vic over, and he's going to do it. And either Vic's going to die,
absolutely going to do it because that's what he does.
Yeah. In the end, that's what matters most. He's gonna do what's best for Oz to advance, no matter what. Man.
I agree.
But
what a great episode! I mean, this is such a fantastic episode.
Do you think this was the best of the season?
Do
you think it's the best of the season so far?
I think every episode is the best of the season after I see it because
I feel like every week
they keep one-upping it. Yeah, they just keep doing such a good job, and again, like I've said it 100 times. If Colin Farrell doesn't win an award for this, I think I'm out on media. I think I'm done with this podcast. I quit everything, man. This guy, if this guy doesn't win an award for this, and Christina Milioti, I think also is amazing. And we've said this before. There are times she steals the show from him, but the reason people aren't talking about how wonderful she is because Colin Farrell. You know what I mean? But like, they really did bring some powerful acting to this show. And I have nothing negative to say about this. This is so good. I look forward to it every week. I was kind of upset that I waited so long to watch this episode because I drive this. I wait till the last minute to watch it so it's fresh in my mind. And I kind of get upset, like, I won't watch this tomorrow night because we're not doing the show tomorrow night. So I'm kind of upset that I have to wait because I'm so interested in it, but I don't have time to watch it twice.
Yeah, I'm probably and again, behind the scenes stuff. Like I didn't get a chance, so I was upset that I didn't get a chance to watch this a second time, which I still might do it before, like maybe tomorrow morning or something like that. I'll just watch it just for the heck of it. But episode 4, I will probably have to watch like Monday morning if I can, or something like that.
Yeah. I will tell you this though. At the end of the Penguin, I'm going to wait a little while till the Penguin, till I can appreciate it again, let it settle. But at some point after this show ends, before the next Matt Reeves Batman, which we know is going to happen at some point.
Yeah, that's happening.
I'm going to rewatch the Batman and the Penguin as a deep dive hole for myself. Not for the show, because that's this show, but for myself.
Anything else we got to hit on with the Penguin? I mean, that we perhaps didn't?
Let's see. Is there anything we missed? I mean, we did see his apartment. That was interesting, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well,
I don't know.
Vic's apartment?
Yeah, right? We saw Vic's apartment. And that was
Vic's apartment.
Anyway, no, I don't have anything. But no, I think that's it. Like, that's the thing is, this is mostly character stuff and how things change between the characters. I think we hit that. Like, I mean, we saw them, John Vitti, we saw them like kind of blackmail him because he's fucking the boss's wife, and we saw a lot of like behind the scenes mafia stuff going on, which was cool. But like, I don't think there's any reason to like harp on it. There's no reason to. There's nothing to really deep dive in it, right?
No, well, I think that scene in general though was kind of interesting because they basically walk into VD. They can, they see him with the boss's wife again. They basically tell him like, listen, we need you to make the call and like, say that you got our back with the triad. So they'll take us seriously because that's basically all the triad wants, right? Like we want to know who's backing you, and to get that call done, Sophia and Penguin and Oz, they go ahead and they go to that room and they confront him while he's there with her, and they make him make the call. And part of it is as VD saying, talking shit to him and calls him Penguin. It's like, oh, we only keep you around for like entertainment and like bullshit like that. No one takes you seriously. And he goes ahead and puts a knife in his fucking mouth. In like his throat. He's like, I'm gonna fucking like, are you out of your mind? It just shows you that he is how quickly he will fucking kill a dude. Like he can't control himself like that. He will fucking off you in 2 seconds if you piss him off the wrong way.
Yeah, and I think that's important. What's important to note is that's how this show started. Yep. Right? Like the new crime boss insulted him, and he murdered him, and then had to do all of this shit to survive. And it is a point of like there's a dichotomy in his personality. Part of it is Oz, the great and powerful, who can manipulate and think and really is Machiavellian in his plans. And then I guess maybe I'll say Penguin, who, when you piss him off, he fucking turns on a dime, stabs you in the throat. And I think that's the interesting thing here at play is like he's a moral guy in his own way who will stab you in the throat if he loves you, because that's his dichotomy.
And I'm curious to see down the line where that plays in when he's confronted with the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
This Batman also doesn't fuck around either.
Right, but we also did see him with that Batman where he's very nonchalant. Like, that's one of my favorite parts of the Batman. It's like, oh, hey, it's vengeance, everyone. Like, and so I do kind of want to see that. Like, I am. So, as you know, I always say when we watch these villain origin things, I don't ever want to see them with the Batman. They're just on their own. Right? I said it with the Joker, and I meant it. I still mean it.
Yeah.
This, I'm like, no, I want to see him get to the Penguin prowess, the Penguin height, and go against the Batman on equal terms. I want to see that. This Matt Reeves Batman, because again, the same universe. He was in that movie. I want to see it.
Yeah, which I don't have any doubt at all we will, because also Colin Farrell will not have to do the makeup for as much because he won't be in the entire like runtime of the movie. In this, he has to be in it like a lot.
He has to. I'm sure he won't be the main villain, and I'm okay with that. I think Penguin is what they did with him in the first one. Maybe you just kind of up that a bit because of the show. He doesn't have to be the main guy. I don't think Penguin is never really a main guy for me in a movie, unless you're doing the Danny DeVito weird mutant thing. But yeah, he has to be in that next one, no matter who the villain is.
Yeah, I don't think otherwise you would expand on the character like this in an entire show, a limited run here, if it wasn't to build him up further, to go where we both believe he's going to go.
Although I will say this, I would love if this style of Batman just did a short-lived show on every villain.
Yes, I agree.
Because it does it so well. Give me the Joker's, give me the Riddler's back. I don't forget Joker. I don't want to see the Joker. Give me the Riddler's backstory. Give me a there's another good Batman villain. I'm blanking, but give me a Catwoman. Give me a fucking Prince Tut. I don't care. King Tut. I don't care. Just give me interesting shit in that world, in this world.
Yeah.
Because I'm so compelled. Like, I don't ever need to see the Batman in the Penguin, and I'm not going to, and I'm happy about that. And anyone who listens to this show knows how averse I am to Batman-less Batman shows. But this works so well.
It's because they made a great show. They're making a great show. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Those other shows, if they would have knocked it out of the park, we would have been more acceptable.
Absolutely, but it sucked, and that's what it was. But this is so engaging. Like, every time these episodes end, I go, "That's it." Like,
I want more.
I almost never rewatch things after we cover it for the show, unless it's something that was already in my kind of purview. I will 100%, even if I don't do the whole Batman rewatch, this is something I will return to. This is my favorite Penguin.
Yeah, and guess what? We don't need to see the Joker for a little bit, because unfortunately
we don't. It's okay.
We saw the adventures of Arthur Fleck.
And how did that go, Ed? How did you feel?
Tell me why you're really mad. Listen, Todd Phillips.
Ed,
I got some problem with you. I got some problems with you. Now you're going to hear about it. Oh man.
And let us pretend that the Joker 2, La Folie à was simply a shared delusion between you and I that didn't exist.
I wish that were the case. Oh my god, how awesome would that be? If it was just that's it. We're the
It could
only
be
two
Granny's La Folie à you know?
It's sad to the point where I am actually somewhat, man, like, oh, Venom: The Last Dance. Okay, I wonder.
Oh my god. Are you looking forward to that now?
No, not really. But still,
Okay.
but still. Well, my thought, you know, I know what I will say that I'll admit, my thought has changed to like, you know, something. It could be worse. It could be Joker Father Do.
That's fair. That's how we feel about Madam Web, honestly, or The Crow.
Yeah, no, there's a few of them. I'm not trying to let those movies off the hook either. They're not off the hook just because of this. Again, it's just because there were expectations now. Those two, not so much.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that wraps it up.
Walter
for us
said to me, I had this conversation with Walter real quick before you wrap up about La Folie à which he didn't want to see, and Madam Web. And I said to him, you know what? There's nothing that can convince me Madam Web is a worse movie than is a better movie than Joker. And he went, oh, Julia Sweeney. And I went, yeah. That's all I want to share. Julia Sweeney's beautiful.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's what we're going on, yeah, I mean, the brief thing that we get Sydney Sweeney and stuff, yeah, sure, that's more entertaining.
Oh, Sydney, I said Julia.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's better. That's definitely better than Joker. Father Do, and again, they also weren't. I don't know. They didn't have the setup. They didn't have the ingredients that were great ingredients.
They did not.
And then shit to bed with them. That's what it is. We knew that movie was fucking toast right off the bat. we knew they were done. So, all right. Well, that does it for us this week. Thanks as always for joining us. If you checked us out on Facebook, be sure to check us out at Granny's Peachy's Facebook group because that's where we share a bunch of like fun stories and other wacky stuff that doesn't make the show. It's a lot of fun there. So check us out there. Check out popculturepros.com. That's what we are presented by, Pop Culture Pros. If you're checking us out on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. And wherever you found your audio-only podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros and check out the other cool stuff that's also on the network. Jason and I will be back next week with another episode. We will be talking about episode 4 of The Penguin, episode 6 of Agatha All Along, and episode 3 of Superman and Lois. So come check us out there. And next Sunday night, Jason.
That's right. Well,
we do have
the time. Oh, I'm going to say the time is in flux because my family is away.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not, because I'm bound to the 8:30. I'm the one who binds us to the 8:30 rule because after my kid goes to sleep. I saw Ginny today. Ginny said she'd be up for an earlier show on next Sunday, not this one, but next one. So, Ed, I'm throwing that out there to you. We'll be posting it when it happens. But yes, we're going to be covering A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child, and about 4 or 5 fun little songs written by, for, and about Freddy Krueger. Talking about that. So join us. It's going to be not this Sunday, but next Sunday. We will be posting the time on the website. And, come join us. We're having a lot of fun there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to check out the other episodes that we have up on Deep Dive, the first 4 Nightmare on Elm Streets, we have them up on the Facebook page under the featured thing. All 4 episodes are there, so you can go check it out and catch up with us if you're an Elm Street fan and check that out. It's been a blast, actually. It's been a lot of fun doing that show too. So
a lot of fun.
All right, so see you next week. Peace.